Hey everybody, ramble time. Agent of Doubt here. Gonna leave out the other parts for this one. Um, so yeah, I've had a lot on my mind recently. Uh, my friend Exiled has had some issues that she's been working through. Sending her good vibes. Um, Misty's sister has also had some issues, and Misty might be needing to fly out there. So, yeah, ready for the rollout of this vaccine any day now. Um, and I picked up a new contract job, which I've kind of wrestled with as far as like, uh, during this pandemic, I've known and counseled a lot of people who have lost their jobs, especially in the restaurant industry. And for me to be swimming in job offers is kind of weird in the face of that. I feel like I'm taking up a lot of work that I could be just spreading around. I used to work in a union when I was an electrician, and there were principles about that, such as in some states they reduced their working hours to 30 hours a week being standard, so that more electricians could get on jobs because there wasn't enough work for all the electricians they had, but they were getting paid enough of a good rate, a living wage, that they could self-regulate their industry and say, well, now we only want to work 30-hour work weeks so that we can help each other out. Um, but in my case, there happens to be a shortage of people who do what I do with the credentials that I have. So, um, yeah, picked up another contract job, and life is going pretty well in that realm for me. I was just up late putting in a lot of notes into a computer, but say la vie. What else was I doing with my time? We're all, basically on house arrest with this quarantine, not doing anything fun because of the pandemic. You know, um, we did recently uh, go to that social distance light show with my brother and his kids when they visited. That's the only visit I'm getting for the next couple months, I'm pretty sure. Um, and I will say this: I think he's got a Mazda CRX. Um, it has this feature in it where when you're driving, you can't turn off the headlights. And so when you're going through these light shows, you pull up to them, and they tell you to turn off your headlights. And he tried, and every time he drove forward, his lights would come back on again. And there were a couple other Mazdas in the line. Mazda makes you an asshole now because everybody else can't enjoy the Christmas lights as well as they would, if everyone could drive in the dark. But Mazda has that feature to where you can't turn off the headlights, the driving lights, at all. If you move your car, the lights will come on. So, yeah, something to think about when you're picking out a car. Maybe that's a good thing for you, maybe it's not. So, uh, what I wanted to talk about with this video is I got a comment from crbvegas, and he was responding to my video see, COVID-19 kills Republican elected officials more. And in his comment, he said that remarkably, progressives have seemingly stopped caring about every other social ailment in this country, especially those that might be exacerbated by the very lockdowns they promote. Anxiety, depression, suicide, unemployment, potential further degradation of the Constitution, independent small businesses going out of business, etc. Okay. All that be damned, right? Well, first of all, it is worth noting that they were the ones that cared about those issues in the first place. You know, to say that they seem to have a different priority right now because 300,000 people have died, 350 at this point. Yeah, they do have a slightly different priority where they see, well, something's killing people a little bit faster than all of these other things. Now, that isn't to say that they aren't concerned when people have depression or want to commit suicide. You know, there's a lot of awareness being promoted around that, but they still have this resolve that letting people die by not trying to control the spread of this virus is not an option. You know, being depressed and, you know, possibly committing suicide versus knowing that if we don't do social distancing and we don't do shutdowns, thousands upon thousands of people will die, more than they already have. Take all the suicides that you can count up in this year or in previous years and compare it to 350,000 people dead. You know, I'd say their priorities are in order for what it is. Now, that doesn't mean that people are completely forgetting about that. I mean, me as a therapist, even though that's not in my scope of practice, I see it all the time and have to deal with it and have to refer it out to where other specialists can handle it, or, you know, when it's at low levels, we manage because, you know, it could have something to do with their relapse or recidivism, which is more in my wheelhouse. But, yeah, it's not like we stop caring about those things. Unemployment, oh my goodness. When I hear about the stress that unemployment puts on people and how that relates to whether or not they're going to relapse, holy shit. Me as a progressive and a therapist, I deal with that all the time. I haven't forgotten about it. Just because we have recognized that something is a little bit more pressing than these issues that we normally care about a lot, doesn't mean that we've completely forgotten them. We've just realized that, yeah, if you're thinking that just not doing anything about the virus, letting it run its course, is going to help depression and suicide, that's preposterous, because we'd have a much higher death rate in our country, and we'd have a lot of grief. You know, I can tell you that I have heard tell of things like people dying from this virus and then other people committing suicide because that person was that important to them. That has happened. Now, on the other hand, I will say that I do see a lot of the depression of unemployment, especially in that in the services fields, you get a lot more people that get DUIs, which land them in my therapy groups, and especially restaurants. There's a lot of drinking that happens among restaurant staff. And so, I know a lot of that. And the unemployment that they faced when the pandemic first started back in, you know, March and April, and then some of them found other jobs, like other ways to still be in the food industry. And then this latest wave has completely shut a whole bunch of other things down that some of them, like, rats scurrying to another ship, they found another ship that was still floating, and then that one went down. You know, they they found a good job to, you know, get through, and then that job went away. And so they're back on unemployment. And, yeah, um, the pain is real. CRBvegas, he goes on to say, well, let me tell you something. You'd better hope that you're right about this in the end. My daughter in high school plays soccer at a high competitive level with aspirations of playing in college and beyond, and now they don't even fucking play. So much for those national tournaments and scouting efforts. So yeah, when we suggest maybe this is overblown as we start seeing some of the mortality rates and so forth, and then you turn around and call us selfish or deniers or whatever, fine. We're giving you your time to shine, and again, you had better fucking be right that destroying so much was worth it. Mr. Vegas. I feel for your daughter. I feel for everybody who is in sports that aren't able to play them right now. Uh, that's another reason why people have a lot of depression is they can't even go to the gym right now. But I would hope that there was something else that your daughter had that made her worthy of merit. Um, I also would hope that soccer teams would find some alternate way of allowing for those people who got skipped over for a year. Um, and even the Olympics were affected by this. Canceled. Fuck it. No Olympics. You know, all of those people that were Olympic hopefuls. There's a shelf life to when people are in their prime for Olympic competition, and it seems to be before people hit their late 20s. For a lot of that Olympic competition, like the gymnastics girls are all like 16. It seems to be around the age that you're going to get a gold medal, and you don't see them in their 40s. You know, and so you don't even see them in their late 20s. They're all, you know, of a certain age where the body is at its prime to be able to win a gold medal in whatever sport they're in. Now, there's some exceptions to that, but yeah, not everyone can be a Michael Phelps with the swimming, yeah, and come back in multiple years and win Olympic gold medals. So I understand that this is her window of opportunity, and it has been erased. Um, I personally went through something like this myself. While I was in the United States Army, I decided to go to college at University of Maryland, but it was a satellite campus that was in South Korea, right? And I collected a bunch of credits for going to college because I wanted to pretend like I wasn't in a foreign country. And then I ended up getting instructors that actually were from South Korea. But That's okay. It was a good experience for me. But what happened when I did that was I started a clock because, as it happens, your eligibility to play in sports while you're in college starts when you enroll in college courses in a university. So by the time I actually got out of the Army and wanted to get back into my education, I found out that you have 5 years of eligibility for football, and the university that I ended up going to, which was University of Wisconsin, had a rule that your first year of eligibility, you had to redshirt, which means you don't play anything. You don't play any games. You can practice with the team, but that's it. You are a red shirt. And when I looked at the rules, it said that I only had 1 year of eligibility left because of when I started going to college, even though there was no way I could play on a football team while I was in Korea serving in the Army. I had all my free time kind of spoken for. But when I got back to wanting to be a civilian, I had that stolen from me by the rules. You know, I felt cheated. You know, I still used their workout facility. But I knew that I was never going to play a game ever. Like I have never played anything of an official game beyond high school. And then, as a disabled vet, I'm actually on prescription medications that would keep me from qualifying for any sort of competition. Even Olympic chess would take a blood test on me and say, no, you're on performance enhancing drugs. So, yeah, I got robbed out of that. It wasn't my primary dream, but I'd say 20 odd years ago, my primary dream was to be a soldier for the rest of my career and retire at the age that I am now. And yeah, I got put out as a disabled vet after 6 years. You know, life happens, and you got to adapt. And I just hope that you've instilled in your daughter some adaptability. Because life isn't soccer beyond that prime. You know, and there are many ways that people measure how worthy they are, and worthiness shouldn't have any prerequisites. You know, you're worthy of some respect just because you're another human being. You know, but whatever measure she does choose, I hope that she does very well in whatever goals that she sets for herself. Um, I really don't want to tell you all the war stories that I have of this pandemic as far as what I wanted out of it, out of this year. Um, I have been robbed of a few things, but I don't want to make a very long list for you. I am not going to walk across a stage for the graduation that I will have for my master's degree this May. That's been robbed from me. I got to have some interactions with my classmates last year where on one day I skipped going to see the sand dunes on like a class trip, and I was like, well, I'll go next year. Well, there's no class trip. There's no anything like that. There was even a professional association that I decided not to join because I don't care about them giving me a different colored tassel for my cap if I'm not even going to be present for my own walking across the stage, and I'm not even going to be on camera. I would just maybe get the tassel in the mail and, like, I don't know what I would do with it. And yeah, this was my time. And I'm going to take my 4.0, take my summa cum laude, and put that on my resume. But I'm never going to be a part of that fraternity that I could have joined because it was pointless. There's no fellowship in the fraternity if you can't meet with each other. My whole college experience is very tainted by this. I'm very well equipped to do telehealth because my classes had to happen on Zoom. But yeah, I'm going to make lemonade out of these lemons and just pick my next goal and head towards it. When this pandemic subsides and most of us have vaccines on our side, then I'm going to hit the ground running and go towards my next goal and not worry about the things that were taken from me by circumstance and just worry about what I can do. So I know that was probably a really good spot to end this video, but rambles, they keep going. CRB Vegas, he after I said this might be a jumping off point for this video, he said he'd be interested to listen to it, but he said, if you do take anything away, I'd just like to note that I understand my example related to my daughter above could probably have been better contextualized. I'm nervous about other things that others would probably consider more concerning, like potentially being laid off due to the effects of COVID on business. I do have those kind of concerns. He just used his daughter because it was his own personal experience, and it means a lot to him. He said, the bottom line is it's always been his daughter's dream since she was a little girl, and it's my job to do as much as I can to keep up with her ambition. And now I feel like I can't do my job. It's as though I've been laid off from certain soccer dad duties, and it sucks. All right, so my gift to you, CRB Vegas, as somebody who does a lot of counseling and deals with a lot of other people's practices as well. I actually have some experience in career counseling, and what I'm going to do is this is a little bit higher than like a BuzzFeed listicle which Harry Potter house are you supposed to be in sort of survey. I'm going to give you in the description box a link to an open psychometrics website assessment, and it's going to be for your daughter. She'll take it. It takes like 5 minutes, but basically it has her self rate what sort of careers she might be interested in. It's called the RIASEC, and when she's done, there's a little link that you can use that will take you to a list of careers ranked by what her scores are, and maybe you can see if there's any hidden aspirations that you haven't uncovered heretofore that would maybe be something else that she could work to even, alongside this soccer dream that has been tainted like many of our dreams have been. So, link in the description box to that, just for you, Mr. Vegas. Anybody else, if you want to take it, let me know what you scored on it. But this is for your daughter. Just give it to her, make her take it. It's very short, but I've had people come out of that and say, you know what, I do want to be a forest ranger. you know, and I do want to, go get an agricultural degree so that I can go pursue that dream. And I'm like, wow, you go. For me, it actually spit out, you need to be a counselor. And it had like all these different ways to be a counselor, all these different types of counseling. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just a list of, they could just make it one word, counselor. But that and librarian. So, yeah. Thanks for your comment. Everybody else, thanks for listening.